Welcome back. Let's talk about strings. As I have probably said 1,000 times before, the strings are a list of characters. Strings have their own operations like other data types have. And before we continue, I want to share another small tip. You know, if you want to do a multi-line comment, instead of just doing, well, this is a comment, this is a comment, you can do another thing. You can just use 3 double quotations and you can say, well, this is a comment, this is a comment, and it'll work just fine, not a problem. You can even run this, it shouldn't give you an error, as I said. Now let's get right into the main stuff, which is strings. Now to discuss string operations, let's declare 2 strings, first name and last name. I will take first name as John and the second name, the last name, as Dory, John Dory. Cool. Now what if I want to make this into a single full name, We do this by something that's called a concatenation operator, which is just simply a plus sign in strings case. So let's say I want to store it like full name equals first name plus last name, and if I print this, I should get the full name. Okay, there you go. Now John Dory, it added both of them together, it concatenated both of them together, and it said it's John Dory. Now what if I want a space there in between? Well, I can just add another character, the space character, and this should do the job. I can also do this here. I can say, well, I can be a little more fashionable and I can say your full name is John Dory. Now what if I want to do other stuff? As I said, string is like a list. We can use a method called len to calculate its length. This method. Let me show you. Len method. Let's say I want to store length of first name. What do? Well, I just use a len method, and in that length function, len function, I pass in the variable or just a string, first name, and this should do the job. Let me print length of first name. Cool. 4 is the length of the first name. I can pass in anything here. I can pass in just this whole thing. This should give me 10. 10 is the length. Pretty cool stuff. Now where can I use this? Well, you can use this in a lot of places. For example, let's say you make a website and you want to store passwords, but you want to validate. You want to say that 5 must be the length of the password. Pretty simple. You can just say, well, you can store the password like, oh, this is the password, and password length, you can store it in a variable like this, and you're good to go. You have a password of a person stored, length of a password of a person stored in a variable, and you can just do whatever you want to do with it, and we'll discuss conditionals. If that is the case, do that, otherwise do that, whatever. That is not the main content of this video. Now let's discuss some of the string methods, like uppercase, lowercase. For example, I can convert all of this into uppercase. See this? Upper first name equals first name dot upper. This will return me the upper version of the first name. Now let me show you if that did work or I'm just saying for no reason. There you go. John is now in uppercase strings. I can do the same thing for lower. I can just call another function. Let me be short. The lower method or function is present. And don't worry if you don't understand, oh, why is there a dot here and we're using this? I will explain that in the classes section. Lower first name. There you go, John. Just remember this dot operator. That dot operator is just accessing all the string methods, and then in that string method you can just access a lower method that converts everything into lowercase, and upper method converts everything into lower mate. Now this is a method, this is a function, it's just like a print function. Now we have not discussed functions yet, but I don't think that's hard to do yet, that you can print stuff by doing this, or you can calculate the length by doing this. I think you understand that very well. Now for exercises, there isn't much to do. Just make sure you play around, with different strings, you type your name, add stuff, print stuff like that. Don't worry if you don't. I'm sure this is not that hard. If you get any problem, just ask in the question section. But for most part, this is very simple. You must be good to go. Now in the next section, we're going to discuss numbers. So we'll see you in the next section.